Hi, I'm so glad you joined us at Reflections Counseling and Coaching for another round of videos. Today I'm going to be talking to you guys about marriage and how to have very low conflict. Everybody has conflict in their marriage, but I'm going to teach you a special acronym, STOP, that's going to help you to have such a better time relating to one another so that you guys can have so much more fun in your marriage. If you'd like to get more personalized marriage tips from me at any time, you can look up our website at www.reflectionscc.com, follow our blog and videos at reflectionscounselingcenter@gmail.com on YouTube, or you can also call us at 941-301-8420. So anyway, let's get started on the STOP program so that you can actually stop having unhealthy conflict. The sooner the better. And basically that starts with just 4 simple steps. The first of which is establishing setting in your relationship when you're having conflict. So that is going to look a lot like you guys choosing when and how to fight. And that means looking at your setting and saying, wait a second, is this a good place for us to get into it? And you might think that's silly, but it really does matter, because if you're having all of your fights in the kitchen or the bedroom, those are places where you should hopefully be having some fun and not places where you should be fighting. The garage, the laundry room, the hallway, these are places that are so much easier to have a fight in because it seems a lot less of a place that you want to stay in all the time. And of course, it doesn't mean if your husband goes out to the garage or if you are somebody who loves to be out there in your little workout center that the other should follow you out there and just nag at you. But it does mean that those are still better places to have conflict. So setting is important, but even more importantly is your timing. You don't want to start talking about conflict when either of you have not had enough rest, when either of you are rushed, or when either of you are feeling like it's a very bad time of the month for that. So it could be hormones, but it also could be that somebody has a deadline and it's just a very stressful time, and maybe even that the conflict is based upon their own personal stress. And you should also be looking at, when you think about your setting, your personal setting. Are you super stressed out because of your own things? Like maybe you're not getting enough self-care and you're expecting your spouse to meet all your needs. If those things are going on, make sure you take that to yourself first. And make sure that you respect yourself and your spouse enough to be well rested for the conversations. Because even though they're not like super fun, they can be decently fun. You could even laugh a little bit if you know how to handle conflict. So that's your setting. And then talking, of course, is the T in STOP. You do have to talk. And you might think that I should be saying stop talking. And in most cases, I'm not going to say that, because basically when you are not communicating in a marriage, those are the times when it can get the farther and farther away and the unhealthier. But it is important to remember to be contentious all the time, to be negative all the time. These are things that we can all do if we're not careful, but they can bring out the absolute worst in us and our spouses. So we want to make sure that you're always remembering the STOP acronym of, okay, do I have a good setting? Is this a legitimate time and place to talk about this? And also, do I need to talk about this? Because if I do, I should. But if it's not a big issue, then perhaps I can deal with that with myself. I can pray through it and I can be fine. But if it's significant at all, make sure you do talk it out, because I don't want it to bother you guys and fester and get bigger and grow resentments or make you try to get your needs met elsewhere. The next thing is to open up your heart to your spouse's ideas, because it's important that you hear what they're saying. If you don't, then they will start closing off to you. And in a conflict, their pattern will be that they'll say, whenever I talk to them, they don't get me, so I don't think I'll share my heart anymore. And that's not what you want, obviously, because you want to have your bestie and you want to have eternal love, right? So in order to do that, make sure you keep your heart open and your mind open to what they're saying. Of course, you've probably heard this before, but it's still very helpful that one way you can do that in the moment is to offer them some reflective listening. And yes, that was one reason we called our business Reflections from the beginning, just one of the many. But it's important that you reflect back what you heard your partner saying. So if you are just fuming mad, but you know that they're trying to make a point about, say, your finances, and you just really don't want to hear about it, make sure before you respond with your own argument that you say something to the effect of, okay, I get it. I totally understand what you're saying. I hear you saying that you want me to manage the money in a better way. And then wait for them to respond. And if they say, yes, that's exactly what I'm saying, they feel heard. And then you can say, however, here's X, Y, and Z. And then bring it to them with openness, not with this, too bad, I can't do it. Bring out another open quality, which would be you saying to the effect of, what can we do about this? Because this is the conflict I keep running into when I try to do your idea. So it helps them to know you want a win-win. You don't feel like you have to be the winner. And that's really important. When you keep that open heart, you're remembering that there's no hero and there's no villain in the story. And that's super important because sometimes when we're in a marital spat, it can feel like that. It can feel like a hero-villain thing very quickly. So make sure you remember you're on the same team, you're both fighting for good, and you want to get to the end of this as soon as possible so that the battle can be over, there's no civil war going on, and you guys can go have some fun relate time. And if you want to know more about relate time and building up your marriage, my entire relate program is based on that. But the P in the STOP acronym is now what we're going to talk about briefly, and that is that you are going to pray. And that is an important step in your conflict reduction because God has all the answers and He's given them to us in His Word. And sometimes just by stopping to consider what His Word says, it ends up being that you realize, I didn't think about something when I was talking to them. So taking that time out with Jesus is a really important step for you guys to make. You can make that step together or on your own because sometimes your partner is simply not going to be willing to have a prayer conversation with you or God in front of you. They might be just too mad. They might be so escalated in their mood that it takes them a good 30 minutes to settle down after a conflict. So you don't want to push that on anybody. You can pray through your journal. You can pray out loud on your own, or you can pray together with your spouse. But either way, don't forget the STOP acronym for your conflict reduction. I'm so excited to hear about how well this works for you. You can leave it in the comments section if you're watching on YouTube, or send me an email at Christa